Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Shaw Local Bears Insider Podcast. I am Chicago Bears beat reporter Michael Dwojak with the Northwest Herald's Joe Aguilar as we are joining you guys on Monday afternoon, a little lunchtime podcast for you folks as we recap the Bears 28-21 loss to the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night. A really a fun matchup. Obviously, the Bears didn't win the game and didn't kind of came down in dramatic fashion. But Joe, it felt like it just felt like a completely different Bears Packers game than I think Bears fans have been used to over the past 5 years.
Yeah, it was competitive. we're not used to watching those with the Bears and the Packers. It was a great football game. It really was from start to finish. Neither team played perfect. There was a lot of everything, but I thought it was a great football game. And my immediate reaction afterward, which I found out was really the pulse of Chicago. The more you read social media, posts by fans, by analysts, was that it's okay. You want to win, you want to beat the Packers, all that stuff. Ditka, Coach Alice, all that stuff. But it was a competitive game. You're not going to make every 3-foot putt for par, right? You're going to miss some. The Bears had been so good in the fourth quarter. They were 5-0 in the close games when that came down to the end. So you're going to lose one, and you lost to a good football team whose quarterback is a little better than your quarterback right now, if not a little more than a little. And that's the difference. But it was a good game. It came down to the end again. But, the Bears didn't, I know every game is important down the stretch here in the final month, but it's not like you blew your chance to make the playoffs because you lost. You figured you knew you were going to lose at least one or two or three down the stretch here. And that was one you could have gotten, but you've gotten a lot of other ones that you probably maybe wouldn't get in another year or because of one play or whatever. But this time they just couldn't close the door.
Yeah, that kind of seems to be a reaction I've seen. I agree on social media. That's kind of my reaction after the game too. Obviously, it stunk for Bears fans and for the Bears to kind of have an opportunity to tie the game and then or maybe even go for the win if they went for the 2-point conversion. But at the same time, I think this game and the Philly game were games where the Bears wanted to prove that they belong, right? That they prove that they're not just beating up and barely getting by these bad teams like the Giants and the Vikings and New Orleans and that sort of stuff. But I feel like the last couple of weeks it kind of proven that the Bears are real. Like, are they Super Bowl contenders? No, I think you still see a lot of the flaws that this Bears team has. That is, kind of has them in that second tier of playoff teams where. Yes, they can compete for a playoff spot. I don't know if they can, compete for a Super Bowl by any means, but I think this team proved to you that, yeah, they are real. Like, they're a good team. They're well coached. They're going to make mistakes. They're still deficient in some areas, and that's obviously something you're going to have to work on during the offseason. But I do think that the Bears, it's so funny. It's just how different it is. It's just like I do feel like a lot of Bears fans feel good after a loss, which I feel like any other time, the way it happened, the late game interception, you had a chance to whatever. Like I was kind of expecting Bears fans to be losing their minds, especially since it's against the Packers. But instead, I feel like everyone's kind of like, well measured, like even tempered, and are just like, all right, we lost. We'll get them back in 2 weeks. I wonder if that plays a big factor in it too.
I think it does. I think Bears fans are smart. Some of them are, you got that Neanderthal thing going. But ultimately, I think people are seeing that if the Philly game didn't convince you that they're a good football team, this one did, despite the loss. I mean, they weren't blown out. It wasn't like because the worst fear going in, if you're a Bears fan, is probably thinking, oh, man, they're going to come back to reality now. They're going to close out the season with loss after loss here and show that they are who we thought they were. No, they're a good football team. And a play here, a play there, maybe it's a different story today. If that throws you a little better than by Caleb at the end and they convert the 2-point conversion, if they had gone for it, I assume they would have. I don't know if Ben was asked that afterward. But we're seeing another tune today, but I think still Bears fans would be in check with reality. Like, okay, we won another close one. It was a good game, but we beat the Packers. So I think it's all good. You got 4 games here left, and we'll talk more about it, but you probably got to win half of them to get in. As you said last week, you think 11 is probably going to be what it takes, and it looks like you're going to be right. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it felt like a team between the NFC's best, right? Like, and obviously, I know that the loss drops the Bears down to the 7th seed, and we'll look at the playoff picture here toward before we say goodbye at the end. But it just felt like a game between NFC powers, right? Like it had that feel to it, and it was fun that it kind of lived up to the hype. If you're joining us on YouTube, thanks so much for joining us on our live stream. Make sure you give us a like, hit that like button, and subscribe. Thank you to also, I know we announced it this morning, had some travel stuff or whatever. So appreciate you guys being flexible. Appreciate you guys joining us on Facebook as well. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, thanks so much for doing that there. Make sure you subscribe there as well. We're available wherever podcasts are available. So make sure you give us a nice little like and subscription there as well. All right, Joe, every day after a game, we like to do 3 winners and 3 losers from Sunday's game. Since the Bears lost, we'll start with the losers. So, Joe, what is your first loser from Sunday's loss?
Well, you know what? I hate using the word loser because I I know the game we play here on this podcast, but
These are sport. This is like sports loser, not like actual like loser in life or anything like
you're
that.
a loser, Michael. Come on. I'll probably go with Caleb just because the first half was just dreadful. I wish it could be like it was Caleb was a winner yesterday and he was a loser yesterday. The loser was the bad first half. I mean, at one point in the first half, he had many passing yards as pass attempts 11. I mean, you saw it, you were there, we watched it. It was putrid. You can't win. It was late in the first half. He had 11 passing yards. It got better. Then he was so good in that second half, and then he's got the chance to win it at the end there. And look, it was a bad throw. And you could say he could have, right? He could have run for the first down. I think he probably gets there. It's going to be close, but you needed a yard for the first down. But you have 2 receivers open. You're a quarterback. Throw the dang football. DJ Moore. I keep hearing people say, look like he got open a little too late. He was still wide open. And then the throw to Komet, to me, if hard to put myself in that position. I'm the quarterback. I'm going to my left. I'm right-handed. What do I do? A, B, or C? But the A was Komet is open. I think that ball's got to be thrown to the pylon, the left corner of the end zone. Lead him better. He's behind the DB. It's there. He just didn't execute it. And it's because it kind of encapsulates all the flaws we see in Caleb, like in that little microcosm there where it's getting the ball rid of too late, it's not seeing the receiver open too late, and then throws off target, which has been his kind of MO all season. And it's not there. It's not placed in the right position. Ball game.
Yeah, I've watched this final play like a million times at this point. I think that based on what I've seen and all that kind of stuff, the only play there was to Komet. Like he missed Komet by like half a second. Like if he hits Cole Komet half a second earlier, he gets the touchdown there. It's an easy throw. And Caleb said so after the game. Like, is it a hard throw by any means? And Caleb just said no. It's an easy throw. He just thought too much. And I looked at the other stuff. He didn't have room to run because there were 2 guys running after him. DeAndre Swift was defended by 2 guys at the line of scrimmage, and DJ Moore got open, but DJ Moore got open after the ball was already leaving Caleb's hands. Like if you look at it, when Caleb still has the ball, there's the I forget what the number is, but if you throw to DJ at the line of scrimmage when Caleb still has the ball, that's an easy pick by the Green Bay Packers. So to me, just based on what I've seen through all these different replays, the play was there for Komet. I mean, if you just look at it half a second earlier, if Caleb looks at it half a second earlier, it's a wide open touchdown. Nixon made a hell of a play just to be able to he caught up to the play, and then he made the leaping catch to get the interception. So yeah, I agree, Joe, where Caleb can be good and bad in this game, but kind of going off of your original point about the first half offense, it was not good. I mean, it just was. It was a bad performance. I mean, Williams went 6 for 14 for 32 yards. The Bears had a total of 71 yards in the first half. A bunch of those came on that field goal drive too. Before then, it was much worse. And Caleb talked about it after the game yesterday, and he said it just came down to details. They weren't executing on details. And you just need that offense. It kind of went back to me where this is something that we've seen from the Bears for the whole season, where they start off slow, they don't make enough plays in the first half. Ben Johnson, to his credit, does a good job of adjusting at halftime. The offense kind of gets clicking, and then the Bears are there in a spot to, win late or, tie the game late, where you just got to execute more in the first half. Like you saw that in these games against the Packers, where you're your number one seed going against the number 4 or whatever they were. You need to score earlier. You need to take advantage of it. So I agree. Like the first half offense was abysmal, to put it nicely. It just was not good. There was no cohesion. Third down, that both, I think, a bunch of times on third down, Micah Parsons was unblocked, or they would focus on Micah Parsons and other people would be unblocked. It was just a tough performance that I think Caleb and the offense just needs to, in these playoff games, in this playoff push, you can't just start the game at the start of the third quarter. And again, that just hurt the Bears once again. And this time they just weren't able to overcome that slow start.
Yeah, and Caleb is just he's not going to be heroic every fourth quarter. He's going to have, Michael Jordan once said, how many jump shots at the buzzer I've missed, and it's the great Michael Jordan. So even Caleb, I mean, we've already said, many times this year, we've seen the clutch gene in the fourth quarter, that ability which matters. He's just not going to do it every time. But if you're executing better in the first half or earlier in the game, you don't have to worry about this. I'm not saying they should have beat the Packers by 2 touchdowns or the Bears should have won and they blew it. Better team won yesterday, bottom line. They made a few more plays or a couple more than you did. But I even heard that play, the play call on the interception at the end, like that call being criticized. Like they ran the play, a similar play when I think Caleb I think it was in the first half, where he bootlegged to the right and got the yard on a scramble, was kind of designed the same way. I don't know if that's exactly the case, but the play call was right. It was there, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, and Ben pointed it out. Like Caleb made that pass a week ago against the Eagles. Like he made that pass to Cole Kmet. It wasn't the same concept. It wasn't like the same personnel by any means, but it was like a similar style where you got Cole you got Cole going to the end zone. You're hoping that he can take advantage of the safety or whoever's back there. And Caleb just didn't make the throw. I mean, that's just kind of what it comes down to. Caleb didn't make the throw. And that'll happen sometimes. Like you make the Jordan comparison. I think I heard recently a stat where it was just like, I feel like people talk about all the game-winning shots that Michael Jordan made, but no one talks about all the ones he missed, right? Like obviously he missed a lot of game-winning shots too. Like, but everyone obviously talks about all the wins. So it was just an instance where, yeah, I mean, that first half offense again just put you in a bad spot where you just needed to play hero ball in the second half, and you did a great job playing hero ball in the second half. But if you just make more plays in the first half, it doesn't have to come down to that final fourth down play. My first loser from yesterday's game is kind of, and I'm interested to see what Ben Johnson says here. We didn't ask him this yesterday, but I at the time I didn't love his clock management toward the end of the game. The Bears, started in the red zone with 2 minutes left, and I broke this down, just watched it. So at 1:55, Kyle Monongai picks up a run of 6 yards. Then the Bears are taking their time, and they don't run again until there's 1:17 left on the clock. Monongai picks up 3 yards. He's down at around 1:10, something like that. And then the Bears take it down to the 35-second mark. Monongai runs, the Green Bay Packer makes a great play at the line of scrimmage to stop him from getting a yard. And then there's 26 seconds left, and the Bears are forced to call a timeout. So you go from 1:55 to 26 seconds. You don't burn a timeout. Like the Bears didn't have really a pep in their step. And, I just, I'm curious to see what Ben says about that a day after, because to his credit, Ben, every Monday, I feel like he starts things off with his players, and he starts things off with us where he'll say, I messed up. I should have done a better job in this. Like the play calling should have been better. I should have done a better job this. So like, I'll give Ben credit. He does do a good job of that. But I am curious to see what he says, because it just felt too cute to me, where like I understood the mindset of you're probably going for 2 because the defense just couldn't stop anyone. But I still think you could have gone for 2 and given the Packers 45 seconds left, maybe half a minute left. Like, I think you got a little too cute, and the Bears should have focused on scoring the touchdown first and then worrying about the time after. So it's obviously you can always play devil's advocate with these types of things. In the moment, you're probably feeling momentum. I'm sure Ben Johnson's like, my running game is going. Like, I'm just going to keep on running this. We're going to run down. It felt inevitable that the Bears are going to score. But then you get into that 4th and 1 situation with 26 seconds left. You have, 2 timeouts left. And you're like, well, shoot, if we don't pick this up, like, we can't stop the game at this point. So, I don't know how you felt, Joe, about the clock management. But for me, I didn't like it at the time, and having some time to think about it a day later, it still kind of felt a little too cute for me.
Well, let's see. So the Bears ended the game. They still had 2 timeouts left, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But there was 20. Well, what was there? Like 14 seconds left in the game.
I think the pick came with 12 seconds left. So you got to get the first down there, right? You can't throw an incompletion. The game's over. But let's say he throws that pass to DJ Moore or Caleb runs, and now you're maybe down to less than 10 seconds. You still have time to run 2 plays. You got 2 timeouts. And I think if they had a better defense where you said, hey, we'll stop them. But now we see, like, even the Bears, how many times have they had less than a minute or not a lot of time left? And I know the conditions, it was freezing at Lambeau yesterday. You're not playing in a dome where anyone can kick a 60-yarder today. It wasn't a great day for kicking, but the way that defense was just giving up yard after yard on the big plays, I'd be afraid, like what's the time where you feel like if we got the lead or we tied the game, where do we feel comfortable on the clock where Green Bay is not going to be able to advance the ball downfield to get in field goal range? It's tough because today's league, guys are so efficient, and that offense for Green Bay with Jordan Love, you don't need much time. Like, if there were 40 seconds left still, and the Bears, let's say, had hypothetically gone ahead or tied it, I wouldn't feel too good. I think 40 seconds is way too much time. So game ended essentially with that pick with 12 seconds left. The play was there. So, and clock management. How about this? What are we, 13 games in, whatever? I mean, and it has not been an issue. We've talked about this throughout the season, even in the preseason, where unlike the last few years, blowing timeouts after a timeout, the mismanagement of the clock that was so bad last year, we don't have to revisit that again. But that hasn't been an issue for Ben Johnson. Is he perfect? I don't know, but I thought there was enough time. And if you go ahead there, if he completes that pass with 12 seconds left, okay, I feel good. But if there were 30 seconds left, I don't know. So it's a tough one, Michael. But I know what you're saying, because I've heard that criticism too, that the clock management could have been a little better.
And listen, I know it's obviously easy for us to play Monday morning quarterback. That's obviously, but that's the whole point of why we do this, right? But Robert chiming in, the goal for Ben Johnson was to finish the game with the ball. There is this was in no means an Eberflus type clock disaster. I'm not saying it was. I'm not comparing this to an Eberflus. Like, it was very clear that Ben wanted to do that. But let's say, even if Caleb, like you said, Joe, he hits DJ or he gets the first down, then what? You've got roughly 12, 14 seconds left. You still have to go around 10 yards, and you have a fresh set of downs. Like, even that I don't feel good about, because I'm just like, it takes roughly 5 seconds to run a pass play or whatever. So you're just limiting yourself to 2 plays at that point. It felt too cute to me. I'm curious to see what Ben Johnson says the day after, whether he would have liked to have done something differently. I'm not saying that they should have done like a hurry up and, like, keep it going, keep it moving, like whatever. But just the amount of time that was taken off the clock, I was just kind of like, all right, like, I feel like you could have been in a good spot with 30 seconds left in the game. Like, if you're at 30 seconds and you got the first fresh set of downs, you're feeling golden at that point. And then you're just like, all right, we'll pick up 5 yards here, call a timeout, 5 yards here, or maybe 4 yards, and you got third down, maybe if you'll have a couple yards. Like, again, it's Monday morning quarterback, but I am really interested to see what Ben Johnson says, because that to me was kind of like, that felt like a learning moment for Ben Johnson for me.
Yeah. And it could be just too. This is just guessing on my part, but it shows you how much confidence he has in the offense and his ability to make the
Sure.
right calls. Like he's like, yeah, I'm thinking he's thinking, I got this. I know the clock's ticking, but it's like the great athlete, like when they know they're becoming great or they're ascending to the next level for themselves. It's when the clock slows down in my head, when things aren't going like it's going too fast and I'm panicking. We saw enough of that the last few years here in Chicago. It almost like this guy's like, I got this. I got this. We're going to score with exactly 2 seconds on the clock. I mean, almost like that kind of crazy manipulation of the game where he's like, I got this, and I don't want to give Jordan Love the ball with ample time on the clock to go down against my defense. So that's just another guess theory on my part.
All right, Joe, what is your second loser from yesterday's loss?
Well, the secondary, right? I mean, just it was bad. Too many big plays. Packers were too good on third down. Our guy, Deshaun Wright, almost had another pick. It goes basically down as no play. The kid, I think it was Melton, who actually tugged on him. It was a really good play on the Packers receiver on that play down the sideline where what probably would have been another interception for Deshaun. It didn't happen. It was an incomplete pass. Bears declined it. Outside of that, I mean, Gardner Johnson had the nice interception, his first as a Bear on the Packers' first drive when it looked like they were gonna, they were on the cusp of field goal range there. And then Montez Sweat had the big sack. And like, hey, the defense making some plays. Takeaway, another Bears takeaway. Gardner Johnson gets the interception. But after that, it was bad. Jalen Johnson, Mike, football's a hard game, right? Even as good as you are, as great as a player Jalen Johnson is, I hate to be too critical, but he didn't look good. I know there was a confusion on what was the second touchdown pass, where it looked like Brisker got burned deep, but looked like there's some kind of miscommunication there. I thought the big run, and I wrote about this in the 3 and out, the Josh Jacobs run on what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown, where the Bears looked like they had him wrapped up. It was an outside run to the right, and Jalen Johnson just took hey, here he goes. I'm here, and then Jacobs is running 21 yards inside the 5 or whatever it was. I thought the effort there was lacking. But again, as great as he is, the reality is he's missed most of this season, and these guys have a lot of football games on both sides under their belt, and you don't. So it's going to be a little rust. I'm still glad he's out there. Get it out of the system. You got the season comes down to the last 4 weeks. It's that simple, and you need him. And if there is a little rust, it's understandable, but knock off the rust now, because these 4 games, even Sunday with Cleveland, these are all going to be grinders, and you've got to figure out a way to get a couple of these wins here. So you need him, especially with this defense and how mediocre probably would be even at full strength all season. It's not great. We know that. So the defense was just the secondary. Weren't enough plays, and they gave up just way too many passing plays. That said, look, Jordan Love's a good quarterback. I mean, he's a Pro Bowl quarterback. He's good. His finesse. That's like when you see him make the throws, the lobs. He just like the nice little touch. Just a little changeup, right? A little lob throw to his tight end, his wide receiver. It's like, why can't Caleb do that? Maybe it'll come. But so the defense. They were going up against a good quarterback. He made one mistake, and the Bears couldn't capitalize on it. The interception, but it was not a good day for the secondary. Pretty clearly.
Yeah, hitting on some different things you mentioned. I agree. I think Jalen Johnson, he's very clearly still working his way back. He was on a snap count in the second game back. He's still trying to find his groove. Again, like you said, everyone's played roughly 13, 12, 11 games this year. That's his second game this year, essentially. Like, he hasn't played since week 2. He's had to get back into football shape. And quite honestly, I don't know this by any means. I'm just guessing at this point, but I would guess that maybe he kind of rushed himself back because he wants to be out there and helping his team. And maybe he should have had an extra week just to kind of get back into shape. But he's a football player. He wants to help his team win. He's committed to his team, right? So, and quite honestly, you're dealing with injuries. Tyreek Stevenson is out. Kyler Gordon hurts himself right before the game during warmups with another groin injury, which is just, I mean, at that point, we haven't heard anything. We'll hear more from Ben this afternoon, but I mean, at that point, I just think you can't really hope on Kyler Gordon this season just based on, I don't know how severe it is. Ben didn't say anything about how severe it was, but at this point, it just feels like this is the secondary you're going to have. Hopefully you get Tyreek Stevenson back, and CJ Gardner-Johnson is just going to have to play that secondary role. But, Joe, I'm going to combo your second loser from yesterday with mine. The secondary got picked on because the Bears had no pass rush, and it's been it's been the story of this season, and is the reason why the Bears are not going to be Super Bowl contenders this year. They just don't have a pass rush. I mean, it's just plain as day. Like the first two touchdown passes, the Bears blitzed and sent pressure, and that created one-on-one matchups that, Love was able to exploit. And he was rushed a little bit, I guess, but like Jordan Love had all the time in the world to throw yesterday. So I know Montez Sweat, he got a good sack. He got his sack that he'll get in every single game. But after that, I mean, that sack and that quarterback hit, that's all the Bears did against Love for the rest of the day. So I understand that, we can pick on the secondary and the miscommunication and that kind of stuff, but like, there's only so much a secondary can do when the quarterback has so much time. Like that second Watson touchdown, that quick pass up the middle, like the Bears sent everybody and there was just no one to get to him. And he just, that time, I heard Tom Brady, I think I heard him say it when I was rewatching the game, but he said that's a play where the quarterback needs time for it to develop, right? And it develops, you can go up the middle, you drop it off, and then you take advantage of Kevin Byard and CJ Gardner chasing him because they were playing a different type of defense. So it's been the story of the year. It's the reason why, if you have any concerns about this Bears team for the rest of the season, it's because there's just no pass rush. Dio Dingbo got hurt. Shamar Turner is gone. Austin Booker hasn't been really noticeable for, ever since he kind of came back from that injury. I know he had a good start, but other than that, it's just been negligible. So it's kind of a combo deal for me where, the secondary got beat up. Jordan Love did a good job of moving the ball around the field, but I mean, it's hard not to when you're not getting any pressure.
I lost your audio there a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me, Joe?
Yeah. Okay. It was garbled there for a second, but yeah, I mean, you're right. We've talked about it all year. It's just not there. It's funny because I thought early in the game there was a little pressure. That the sack by Sweat was a big play. That's like the sack that, like, for lots of yardage. Was it 11 yards or 14 yards on that sack? I moved them back. That's what they need. They just lack those big plays from the front seven this year. And then, as the game went on, I just like, this really hasn't been the case, And I couldn't even tell you the last Bears player who had a sack. Maybe you can, besides Montez Sweat. I mean, this is like
probably Booker. Oh, actually, maybe it might be CJ Gardner-Johnson, which was a month ago when he got signed.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look. I got to look that one up because I was just thinking off the top of my head here. Like, when was the last time a D lineman not named Montez Sweat had a sack? I mean, maybe there's one I'm missing, but it's just not there. And that said, Love, you see, like, we wish, going back to Caleb, that he can just throw from the pocket more. I know that's not, look, if the guy can run and make plays and do the Houdini act, good. But you got to be able to throw, just sit in the pocket, throw. The Bears' O-line has been so good this year. What a revelation. Maybe the best revelation besides Deshaun Wright this season, as we've talked about. But, Love sits in the pocket, throws, and delivers an accurate ball, a catchable ball. I know as Bears fans, it drives you nuts because we've seen too many great – we've seen it, and even my generation, I'm older than you, have been great Packers quarterbacks, and here's yet another one. And the rush, but the Bears, I mean – he could have been Lynn Dickey, although Lynn Dickey had a pretty good Packers run there in the 70s. Michael, as I'm sure you don't remember because you weren't born yet. But it's like, they made it too easy for him. You got to get some bodies on him. And other than Montez Sweat, they're just not getting anything. And again, And I keep thinking, not like we still got 4 games to go here this season, but I just don't know how you're going to fix this. Um, that's the conversation for another day in March or sometime in February. But it is what it is at this point. And it's a negative for me every week, pretty much every week.
Yeah, and it's interesting just because I wonder, if Tyreek plays, I wonder if you're able to send CJ Gardner Johnson and Jaquan Brisker more for
Yeah.
blitz attempts. And I'm curious to see what Dennis Allen does, because Dennis did send a lot of blitzes on third downs. And Jordan Love is fantastic on third down against the blitz. Like, you cannot bring Jordan Love down. Like, he's a phenomenal quarterback in that regard. And it was interesting. I feel like Dennis kind of dialed down the blitz, and that still didn't help, obviously, when they got that second touchdown to Christian Watson when they only sent 3 guys on it. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what Dennis Allen's, fixes are for that. I do wonder if you can maybe get Tyreek Stevenson back. You've got him going, and maybe you can play a lot more dime. Obviously Tremaine Edmonds isn't playing either. I wonder how much that kind of impacts things as well. TJ Edwards was obviously back in the game, but obviously he was on some snap counts too. So I'm really interested to see, and we'll hear from Dennis on Thursday, just what can you do at this point? Because you have to give your secondary some sort of help. Yeah, there was some miscommunication. Yeah, there was blown coverages, of course. I'm not going to – I think actually Matt LaFleur did a great job adjusting to that, and he did a really good job of attacking the defense. But it also helps that there's really a lack of a pass rush. So I'm really interested to see what then – like, he's done a phenomenal job this year. I feel like just with what he's had, I'm really curious what Dennis Allen could potentially do here in the final 4 weeks of the season, given the injuries and what he has here in this playoff push. All right, Joe, who was your final loser from yesterday's loss?
Well, I'm going to go with the end of the half execution, which this is the third time now we've seen the Bears give up a touchdown late in the first half, where every time it kind of seemed, even the Saints, I think the first one was the Saints game, really didn't turn the momentum of the game. That's like probably the only game, maybe the Dallas game, where the Bears were kind of in control, and the Philly game where they were in control most of the game. But if you remember that Saints game, kind of gave him life. Then it happened with Philly last week. Then it happened again. And it started with, I don't want to pick on Cairo Santos. We don't have to have a Cairo Santos conversation today. But that kickoff after his field goal got the Bears to within 7-3 late in the half. You're feeling good. All right, you finally got some points on the board despite a lethargic effort by the offense. And then what does he do? He doesn't get the ball into the landing zone, which is the 20. They start at the 40, Green Bay. Oh my goodness. Sure enough, 4 plays later, touchdown Packers. And it's 14-3. That's a kick to the where. It keeps happening. That's 3 times now. They got away with it against the Saints because they won. They got away with it against Philly because they won. This time, and this was a 1-possession game, as we all know. So that hurt. I mean, giving them an extra 20 yards, the Packers, and that offense, play with fire, you get burned. And that's, I'd like to see that stop, because I don't know if the Bears have had those moments this year at the end of the half, or maybe they have, and I'm just not thinking of them. But that was not good, and it was costly yesterday.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I didn't get a chance to talk to Cairo after the game. I'm really curious to know whether that was supposed to be a knuckle kick or whether it's just cold outside and he just miskicked it, because obviously the Packers kicker also miskicked a ball that obviously gave the ball to the Bears at the 40-yard line too. So I'm curious whether that was just a cold ball scenario or whatever, just the circumstances, or whether he was trying to get like a knuckle kick there or a dirty ball kick and he just misplayed it. I will have to ask him and Richard Hightower later in the week. But yeah, even if it was, maybe that's not a moment to try the dirty ball at that point, especially since the Packers have a chance to double dip, since they were going to get the ball at the end or at the start of the second half. I agree. That was just poor execution. And it really, for the Bears being able to fight back, get that field goal, make it a 4-point game, that was just poor execution. And then the Bears getting the ball with, I think they had 3 timeouts left, Caleb gets sacked. They don't call a timeout. And then they still go for it. It was just an ugly end to the first half.
Yeah, and I'm not putting this all on Cairo. I mean, the defense
No,
just
I don't
said,
think you are.
"We'll just
No.
stop you. We'll just stop them. No worries."
Yeah.
And they couldn't. So again, it's not all on Cairo. It's probably more of an indictment on the defense for giving up the big play.
All right, Joe. My final loser. Obviously, it's just the lack of execution and that kind of stuff. That deserves credit. Obviously a spotlight. That miss of a third down. I'm looking at it right now. Just the third down run by Jacobs in the fourth quarter on the game, winning touchdown drive. I mean, Javon Dexter, Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson are all there. I don't know how you don't tackle him. That's just insane. But my loser is the lack of involvement of DJ Moore. And obviously this happened. We got the news after we recorded this on our Friday show where Rome Odunze was not going to play. And then Tom Pelissero is reporting that he's dealing with a foot injury that could keep him out for a couple weeks. And you kind of figured heading into the game, like, all right, like, let's get DJ involved. He does really well against the Packers. He can, if there's, not that you would want to lose Rome Odunze by any means, but if there's a spot that you can deal with an injury, it's your wide receiver spot, right? Like you got DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland, Zacchaeus, Duvernay. You got a deep bench there. And I don't think the Bears took advantage of it. And I don't even think it's a lack of execution by Rome. I mean, Rome finished with one catch for -4 yards. It was on that pitch play. And he was targeted 3 times. And I was rewatching it, and the 3 targets were all like gimmicky plays. They were all like screens or like trick plays. And we'll ask Ben about this, but like, I feel like DJ has proven in his career that he's more than just like the gimmicky, like run around, like end around, like guy. Like he can go down the field and make a catch for you. So I don't know whether there was more play designed for DJ and they just didn't get executed because of the pass rush by the Packers or Caleb wasn't hitting. I think he was going for DJ Moore on the first third down attempt and overthrew him, but the lack of involvement of DJ Moore down the field, I just felt like that was a total miss. Like you're without your best wide receiver. You have the luxury of having DJ Moore as your quote unquote number 2. You got to take advantage of that. And I don't think the Bears did that at all.
No. And really, Michael, this is 2 years running now where DJ and Caleb just don't seem to be on the right page. This goes back to last year. He should have a lot more receptions and yards than he does. I haven't looked at his numbers lately, but they for the season, they can't be good. And this is a good football player. This is a real good football player. But the camera showed him after the last play with the interception yesterday. He looked very.
That's just how he is. That's his face. He's not. We need to stop looking into the whole what is his demeanor like. What do you want a football player to look like after they just intercept? I'm not saying that you're doing that, but I saw a bunch of social media again on DJ, and it's just like that. We got to stop, guys.
Oh, it's the TV guy, and they're the ones who are doing it. I mean, they're like, "There's DJ Moore. He was open. Get a shot of him." Yeah, we don't expect him to be jumping up and down. Go, oh darn! It was like, we almost had it there.
Right.
He's ticked off like we all are, and he knows he was open. He knew it was a play to be made. I'm sure he'd have been thrilled had Cole Kmet gotten a better ball thrown to him, and they tied the game there or go ahead or whatever the case. So, but I feel bad for the guy, honestly, because he's a good football player. He should have a lot more catches than he has. And I don't get it. Caleb almost got him killed for crying out loud on that one. Ended up, it was technically
the
a
pitch.
pass.
Yeah, technically his one catch. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe, geez. And even Brady mentioned during the telecast, he doesn't know how he didn't fumble it. DJ's a tough dude, as we know. So yeah, that lack of involvement, I don't get it. But I don't think that's Ben Johnson. I think it's Caleb, for better or worse. I for whatever, I don't know. But wow, we have DJ Moore on our football team. We all love to pick, when they made the trade and got the number 1 pick, the number 1 pick and him. And he was great his first year. He actually had a really good chemistry with Justin Fields. But the last 2 years, man, that's like this guy's being underused, in my opinion.
Yeah, you have a great talent on your player. I don't think he's a top. I'm not trying to diminish who DJ Moore is. I don't think he's a top 5 receiver or even a top 10
No,
receiver by any means, but he's not bad. He's a really good option to have. Ben Johnson always sings his praises, especially for the way he's been playing hurt throughout this entire season. He hasn't missed a game despite all the different injuries he's been dealing with. That just felt, whether it's the game plan, whether it's Caleb missing him, that you're not using a weapon, and that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, it seemed like Luther Burden was getting like the gimmicky plays, like the screens and that kind of stuff. If you're and they worked, right? So if you're using Luther Burden on those plays, why not send DJ down the field? Why not send him up the middle and he can pick up, like, he can get so many acts. I didn't get it. We'll probably ask Ben about it, and we'll see what DJ says and Declan Doyle. But that just seems like a miss. And if Roma Dunze is going to miss a bunch of games with this foot injury, you have to get DJ involved, because you're not going to have much of a passing game without him. All right, Joe, let's turn the page to some positive news here. What's your first winner from yesterday's loss?
well, it's always tough to come up with winners when you lose the game. We said at the beginning, I mean, it was a good effort, though. It was a competitive football game. They lost last play. That's it. But winner, I'll just go with the running backs again. I mean, the running game, which really, that could be a winner every week now. It's funny to be saying that. But they ran the ball well yesterday. I just didn't quite get why they waited so long to just get dependent on the run. Now, look, your quarterback, whether it's the Bears or any team in this league, you have to win games because of the quarterback. We know that. So we need him to play better. But, man, they're running the ball well. Both guys, again, the numbers won't jump on at you. They neither rushed for 100 yards. They didn't rush for 281 on the ground like they did against Philly as a group. But the yards per carry for both guys, Swift and Monungai, were good yesterday. They run the football. It's not like they're getting two yards here. No, they bust off a 12-yard. They're getting consistently 4, 5, 6, 7 yards every time one of those guys runs the ball. They really turned out to be great compliments to each other, which, again, you're going to rely on a 7th-round pick and some running back who's a number one, who a lot of people don't think is a number one. They're going to be that good. They have been that good this year. I'll just speak for myself, I guess. I'm shocked by it. Pleasantly shocked as a Bears fan. And they were running the ball yesterday. And that's a tough Green Bay defense to run against. And I thought the Bears were still they were better than the Packers were as far as running the ball and against that defense. I don't know if I'm phrasing that correctly, but they showed like, hey, man, we're the big boys here. We run the football, and we're going to do it again today. And they did. I just don't know why they didn't commit to it. Maybe part of it was because the Packers had the ball for so dang long in the first half. Maybe that was part of it. But I thought the running backs, again, were really good. And neither guy, even though their stats would say it was a letdown, I thought they both were terrific again.
Yeah, they were good. I agree with you. We talked about this on Friday, Joe, and I said Ben always does stuff with a purpose. I do wonder whether they were trying to get the passing game going.
Yep.
With all the talk about the inaccuracy all last week. I do wonder where that, because after I think it was the first 2 drives, maybe it was the first 3 drives, the Bears ran the ball once. And that just, with what you're able to do against Philadelphia the previous week, listen, the Packers' run defense was the best run defense the Bears went against this season. But you got to run the ball more. You saw what that did in the second half. It just got the Packers tired. And when you're able to maul them the way you are able to set the tone, I know you want to get Caleb going and that kind of stuff, but run the ball. Like yesterday just felt like that's what the Packers did. Like, Packers used Josh Jacobs efficiently, and then that set up Jordan Love for, some nice easy passes here and there to pick up 5 or 10 yards. And so, yeah, I agree. It was good to see them get going. That, I forget what it was. What was it? It was a 17-play, 83-yard drive.
Yes.
That was like old school. Like, that was beautiful. Like, just dominating. That's what the Bears can do. And I agree. It's great to see, and I would have liked to have seen it happen earlier in the game.
And you know what? I would imagine if you're an old lineman or if you're just an offense, it's got to be so empowering to know, like, if it's like, okay, we're just going to play a game to see who are the toughest dudes down here. And how are we going to determine that? Can you run the football? Because when you're the baddest dude out there, you run the football and say, we're just going to maul you. and we're gonna pummel your emotional capability or into oblivion. We're just going to pound you, and pound you. And when you're that guy, it's beautiful, like the Philly game for the Bears. And yesterday, they were doing it. And I think that's why you punch someone in the mouth, is by running it down their throat. And years past, people say, oh, they got to run the ball more. Well, they couldn't run the ball more. You don't want them running the ball because they stink at running the ball. This year, they can really run the football. And look, I'd rather see Caleb throw for 350 every game too. Don't get me wrong. But this is clearly the strength of your offense. And while your quarterback is still growing and still developing, and we hope he's going to be that guy, he's not right now. But run the dang ball, especially now when like you're actually in games that matter and like winning matters now. It's not playing for draft position anymore, finally.
Yeah, I would agree. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of handles that moving forward. All right, my first winner. I know we talked about Caleb's slow start, but Caleb is a winner for me. Obviously, to get the Bears in that position, I know he threw the interception, but he makes throws that no quarterback in this world can make. Some like that throw to Zacchaeus.
Oh,
I don't know. I think Tom Brady said, I've seen a bunch of people say there are like 2 or 3 people on this earth that can make that play, like throw. That throw was insane. The throw that to Colston Loveland that he had right after the CJ Gardner interception, that was a great throw. Colston Loveland just needs to catch that. He can't let that fumble. The throw that he made to Luther Burden, and then the Duvernay throw was insane. Like just to be able to on the run throw a perfectly straight pass and set it up perfectly for Duvernay to run into it. Like he led his guy perfectly. Like those are just throws that other quarterbacks can make. And I think that that's why I feel like a lot of people are cool with Caleb, because eventually I think you believe that eventually once he gets into Ben Johnson's system more, he becomes more comfortable with the easy passes will come. You can learn that. You can learn those throws. Those throws are just like insane throws. And I think that has to have a lot of Bears fans encouraged. I know he threw the interception. I know that he underthrew it. He took responsibility for that. He should have thrown Cole Kmet a better pass, but they're not in that position. If like the scramble on the third quarter where somehow he escapes pressure, runs to the sideline, and somehow lofts a perfect pass down the sideline to Cole Kmet, like those are just passes that few quarterbacks can make. And that's the Bears have a good one in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, this is the tease, right? I mean, because he makes those throws, and then he just can't. Then he misses the easy one, and that you'd hope that can be fixed. You'd think that can be learned. Maybe it's just going to take another 200 reps in practice with touch and working with his receivers. Because the hard part, he's got the clutch gene, right? He's got the athleticism. I don't know how he escapes some of these. I can't say like he's the most nimble quarterback I've ever seen in the pocket, but man, he keeps making these plays where he's bouncing off a sack, somehow eluding them against good players, not like backups to the backup. I mean, he's making some good DNs and rush guys look bad. Like probably wanted to kick themselves because they couldn't bring him down. But like I said earlier, to me, he's like a loser from yesterday. He's a winner from yesterday. Because the offense in the second half really responded we talked about it so bad. And then that opening drive they had in the second half, the monster drive, and just there was so much to like. Really the only negative probably was the pass at the end of the game. Otherwise, it was a fantastic second half by Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I think I saw Michael Parsons had like 2 quarterback hits, no sacks. That's insane. He was there practically every play. Like if you look at the stats, like you're like, well, Micah Parsons really didn't make an impact. But if you watch that game, he made an incredible impact. And somehow Caleb continuously kept running away. He threw the ball away. He did a good job of not playing hero ball a lot. And that's a credit to him. All right, Joe, any quick hitting winners from yesterday's game before we talk about the playoff picture here?
Yeah, maybe just one, maybe just the interior of the line, which we don't talk about O-line play a lot. And, it's not as fun as talking about the quarterback and the receivers and the takeaways on the D. But that interior of the line, if you think back, Michael, it's only been, these last 2, 3, 4 seasons watching the Bears when you'd see like people just blow through the middle, defenders blow through the middle of the line. The center gets blown up. The guards get blown up. We haven't seen that. And their ability to run the ball, I mean, left tackle, somehow, I mean, the most important position on the old line really hasn't killed them at all this year. Darnell Wright's been really good. And then, he had a false start yesterday or something. That's okay. He's still having a great year. But that interior of the line with Tooney, Jackson, and Dahlman been really good. The Bears run up the middle a lot. They get yards. It's nice to see. And again, it's not something most fans probably don't concentrate are watching those three interior guys every line, but the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, they do. And you love to see it. I know Jonah Jackson got blown past by Micah Parsons a couple times, but again, that's just going to happen. I mean, Micah Parsons is a great talent, so that's going to happen. Some other trying to just think of some winners. CJ Gardner-Johnson got that interception, which was good to see. Bad of the Bears not to obviously score off of that. Other than that, I thought he had an okay game. I thought there were some times where he kind of got beat. That was part of the secondary. Luther Burden had a good game. He caught 4 passes for 67 yards. That's a good shout out to him. I think those are all the winners. One last loser for me just is we were robbed of a big man touchdown yesterday, and that's just a shame. That touchdown pass that went to Colston Loveland was originally supposed to go to to Theo Benedict. Theo Benedict got chop blocked. It didn't get called. And obviously the Bears scored. They got the touchdown. Colston Loveland was wide open. But we as a society were we didn't get a big man touchdown, and that was just that's a shame to see.
That's good. Yeah. I think did they talk about that after the game? Because I think he was going to be the number one target there, and then he got
Ben Johnson said he was the number one target on that play.
He did,
and then he just got knocked down.
Yeah, like that should have been a penalty, but Loveland was so wide open, like he just stopped running to catch the ball, and then just like walked the 1 yard across the goal line. That was a beautiful play from the one. I love that. I loved everything, but Ben is so good again. Everyone's moving. As he said at the beginning of the year, he wants the same thing to look different. And he's done a great job of that. But 4 games left. We're gonna get one. They almost had one there because he would have been wide open.
Yeah. Richard chiming in from across the pond. Great to hear from you. A big picture winner, guys. We are way ahead of where we all thought we would be this time of year. And that's a good lead in, Robert, to what I want to talk about in the final few minutes here. Bears dropped to the number 7 seed after the loss. It's just that tight of a race at this point.
Yep.
The Rams, Packers, Eagles, Seahawks, 49ers, and Bears all have at least 9 wins. The Buccaneers are currently the 4 seed because they were leading the NFC South at 7-6. That might be the tough draw here, where that South winner is probably not going to be as good as the other teams. But I mean, Joe, it's going to be tight. The Lions are a game behind the Bears for the final playoff spot. The Panthers are 2 games behind. Obviously, they're going to try to get in, I think, with that NFC South division on the way. I know both the Buccaneers and the Panthers are tied right now. Tampa has the tiebreaker. But Joe, 4 games left. We got what we wanted, right? The Bears are, I don't know if we thought 9 wins was going to be what the number was, but we're talking about the Bears in the playoff picture, 4 games to go, and the Bears control their own destiny at this point. If I would guess 11 wins gets you in, but it might even come down to 12 at this point with the way that the NFC is playing this year. You control your own destiny. You got, like Robert says, you got 3 home games. None of them are going to be easy. The Browns, you saw what they could do last year. That defense is phenomenal. Myles Garrett is phenomenal. Shador Sanders is giving that offense some life. You got the Packers in a couple weeks. Then you go to San Francisco, and then you finish things off against the Lions. It's not going to come easy by any means, but the Bears control their own destiny at this point.
Well, yeah, what's interesting, too, is, look, if you win 11 games and don't make the playoffs, again, this is not their Super Bowl window. It hasn't started yet. Maybe they're
early.
Right. Yeah. So, look, you get in. If you don't make it, no one's going to say, this stinks. I don't know where we're going with this. I think what will be more disappointing is it means you probably, if you don't get to 11, it means you probably lost to the Packers and the Lions again at home. Because if you're going to get out of it, they're still officially not out of the cellar, based off of last year, right? Like when they say they're still the champs until someone knocks them off. Well, the Bears are still the cellar dwellers in the NFC North until they prove they're out of it. You have to prove that you can either play with the Packers and Lions, or better yet, beat them. So if you go 0-2 against both of them this year, that's in a way for me like more disappointing than maybe not making the playoffs. Because you got to start saying, didn't Ryan Poles say we're going to take the North and never give it back? Well, we're waiting. So you got to beat those teams. You got to beat Cleveland. That's a no-brainer Sunday. I know the defense is great. Myles Garrett's on the, probably going to set the single season sack record. They're bad. They're what do they have? 3 wins or 4? You got to beat them at home. You don't have to pummel them 40-10. That's not going to happen. But you got to beat them. Because if they lose Sunday, then geez. Forget about where you are in the playoff picture. You're just going to be demoralized. Then it's going to be the old Coach Ditka. I don't know if we're capable of winning another game the rest of the year. That's going to kind of go into your head a little bit. So beat the Browns, and then you got to get one of the 3. The Niners game just has loss written all over going out there. But you got to beat the Packers or the Lions. You got to get one of them. You don't have to get both of them. That'd be great. But you got to get those. You've got to beat the Packers. You got to beat the Lions. Forget about the playoff picture. You got to beat one of those teams at home. You're in the opportunity. December is going to be a wild month. It could be great for this franchise, or it could just be heartbreaking.
So you think you have to go 2-2? Like, are you satisfied if they go 2-2?
Yes, I would be. I mean, you want to win them all.
Sure. Well, yeah. Well, that's a given. Yeah.
Right. But I think so. That would put you at 11. What's the math? 11-6. 11 plus 6 equals 17. 11-6. That's a hell of a year. What do you think?
I agree. I'm still, expectations change, obviously, right? If you would have told me at the beginning of the year that this team wins 9 or 10 games, even 11 games, I would say it's a win regardless. But
right.
I if you go 1-3 or if you lose out, I think that leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I think that leaves a bad taste in your mouth, given where you were heading into the month of December. I agree. You can't lose to the Browns. I'm not. And Ben Johnson even said this yesterday after when he was asked about the Packers. He was just like, coming up in 2 weeks, he's like, we're not looking ahead. The Browns are coming up here. They're a very good team. They have a great defense. And I don't think the Bears, I am confident that Ben Johnson will have this team prepared regardless of who they're playing. Like, he's not overlooking any opponent this season. I don't think the Bears have been guilty of that this year, that you didn't really see it against any of the weaker teams. And I don't think you're going to see it in this final 4-game stretch. But listen, I mean, Ben Johnson and the Bears have talked about it. They're not in the playoffs until they earn qualification. They're not talking about playoffs. They're not doing any of that until they officially are qualified. So it'll be interesting because I'm kind of the mindset now, if you don't make the playoffs, it maybe isn't as good of a season, which is an insane thing for me to say, because if you're talking to me in August, what did I have the Bears winning like 8 games or something like that? Like, that would be crazy. But now I think with the opportunity that they have in front of them, I think you have to make the playoffs as the number 7 seed. I don't know. Like, I'm sure I'm not going to call this season a failure by any regards. What the culture that they built this season, the steps that Caleb Williams and the offense has taken this year, I think it's a huge success. But part of me is kind of like, if you don't make the playoffs at this point, if you don't go 2-2, if you go 2-2, you get 11 wins and you somehow don't make the playoffs, all right, fine. That's just the NFC this year. I don't know what you're expected to do. But if you don't make the playoffs because you failed to win a game or you only get to 10 wins, I think that kind of leaves a negative taste in your mouth.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're right. They will be just, even if they win 11 and don't get in for some reason, that's going to be disappointing. It is, but you'll quickly look at the big picture and say, like, we won 11 games. There were just other teams that were a little better than us.
Sure.
Or they won on a tiebreaker, so that's fine. But man, if you lose out, or if you get other than Cleveland, they're probably not going to be favored in the other 3 games, right? They're not going to be favored against the Packers, probably the Lions,
not, no,
and the Niners. So it's not like you're losing to 3 bad teams that, like, oh my gosh, you had 3 easy wins here and you lost 2 of them. I don't think that's going to be the case. So, injuries can change a lot of that for them or the other teams. So that's another factor. But no, I mean, how great it is for them to be in this position. They've already surpassed. If they lose out, they have 9 wins, right? They're guaranteed a winning season. I know the ending stinks. You don't want to see them lose out. It's going to be really ugly. But big picture wise, it was still 9 wins. No one had him. Very few people, if any, had him. I think I had him for 12 because I thought they were going to get Trey Hendrickson preseason. that didn't work out. But other than that, I mean, no one. How many people had him for 9 wins? Right.
Right. It will be interesting to see, Green Bay. Green Bay's got a tough test here too. They go to Denver on Sunday, and then they obviously travel back to Chicago before playing the Ravens and the Vikings. So, that Vikings game, that's where and again, the tie makes things so hard where now there really isn't a tiebreaker with the Packers, like because they have that tie. So like, I guess it doesn't matter what you really do against the division in terms of that, but it'll be interesting to watch because the Packers do have to go play Denver, the Bears, and the Ravens. I know the Ravens aren't what they used to be, but they're still got Lamar Jackson and they're still a really talented team. So I don't know, Joe. This is all you asked for at the beginning of the season. Be in the playoff hunt. Actually be in the hunt. Don't be like that last team that NBC is just including in the hunt just because they want to be nice and, fill out that graphic as much as possible. Like the Bears are actually in the hunt. They're in a position to make the playoffs. And it should be a really fun December to see what they're able to do here now.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's everything that we've got for this Monday afternoon. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us. Appreciate all the comments in the live stream. If you guys want to give us a like, hit that like button there. We really appreciate it. Same thing with Facebook. See a lot of loves and likes on Facebook. So appreciate that, guys. Make sure you like us there as well. If you're listening to us on the podcast, make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to be part of the live stream conversation, you want to be like Rick or CJ or Robert, make sure you're joining us live. We'll usually joining you on Monday or Friday morning. Our schedules kind of change things up based on what the Bears are doing too in my travel schedule. So make sure you follow us. I'm at Dwojak94, at Joe's at Joe Aguilar 64, and we'll keep you posted about when we're going to be talking. But it's a big week. We got 4 games left in this regular season, a big matchup against the Browns coming up next Sunday. We'll talk to you guys about it on Friday at 9 a.m. But until then, have a good week, guys, and we will talk to you guys on Friday.